Hi guys, I'm Alexis. I'm going to be taking you through the second module of storytelling, the animating characters. So to start off, I added some backgrounds the same way we did before. In the previous module, I just added some scenes. If you don't remember here, import, and it'll take you to your files, desktop, wherever. So I have two scenes here, and I also have two of my characters, my sprites. I've renamed them. So I'll show you. Here, it said sprite, and I renamed it as mole, and that'll be helpful if you have multiple characters when you're going through and you're trying to choose on the different codes or different commands. You're trying to choose your different characters. It's helpful to rename them. And another thing I did, you can go here to add a new turtle or sprite. And so I did that to create a director, and I'm going to be putting the majority of my codes and commands here because I want the director to tell the other characters and to tell the scenes what to do. So I'm not going like through the stage and through the mole, and I'm going completely through the director, which makes sense. So after you upload all your backgrounds and your characters, you can start. The first thing I did, let's go. We're gonna start in scene 1. And I want this guy to hide because we'll get to that. But so the first thing I did when I uploaded my mole was he was like a huge size, so I changed the size, and you can get this command in looks. The default is 10, I think, so it'll just change the size by 10, but I want him a little smaller. I'm probably going to say this a lot, but most of this stuff is kind of up to you and based on your story, whatever story you're doing, your characters. It's a lot of creative freedom here. So we're not going to be doing the exact same things, but this is just a baseline so you can see what's possible for you to do. So I have changed him to a good size. The first thing you can do to kind of feel it out is you can go into motion, and you can do any of these things, but move 10 steps backwards, 10 steps forward. But you can also use your cursor and just drag your character on the stage wherever you want him and place him wherever. And so the basis of the stage is a grid, and you can use the X and Y position to figure out where your character is on that grid. And you could use like a glide command here. Say you want your character to start here, you can place him here, but you want him to finish here, you can put him there for a second, use the X command, and now we know that we want him at 136, and we know that we want our Y at negative about 47. So we can move him back over here and use this command, and he'll glide there. So that's just one of the things you can do. And now we're going to get into how we would animate this scene. So we're going to work in the director. I kind of already have my stuff set up, so I will take you through and then I'll show you the finished products. So we're going to use the director as our controller. That's why we're going to be working with the control category a lot. We're going to be using the director to tell the other things what to do. So the first thing is we're going to tell the mole to glide. We can drag this glide command that we've already made over to our director, and when it highlights, it will go there. It looks like it bounces back, but it's there. Then you can add that here. We'll start over here, and it'll tell the mole to move. So we want to establish a setup command. I have one here made, and you can see what I have for my setup. So for the setup, we want all these things in place. We want the particular scene background. We want the mole to be present. We want him to start at this particular coordinate, and then we want our director to hide, which will be just the green arrow for the sprite of the director, or you can use any image for your director. And we want our other characters to hide. In this case, my mole head is my other character. So I've put all that in here. Where you can get this stuff from is the looks. So we have the show and hide features. We've seen the control, the tell where to move where. And we got the switch costumes from the stage. So in the looks of the stage, we can use the switch costume to scene 1, scene 2, and drag it over to the director. And then to make the code block, you go here to make the block. So I just have my setup command here. So now when we want it to start, it'll automatically do all those things for us. So if we ended somewhere else in position, or you're working in the middle of something but you want to start over, you have your setup command to restart everything for you and just make sure that everything is put away where it needs to be and what's showing is showing. So first we have our setup snap to that, and we tell the mole to glide. And for this scene, the mole is going to be going across the floor and then up out the tunnel. So I've added some different commands to complete the scene. So here's my scene 1. I have my setup attached, and I have a little bit of a wait so that the mole is shown for a second before he starts moving across the floor. Telling the mole to glide from the initial setup position to where he is on the screen right now. Before he goes up, a little bit of a wait, and then he'll glide up the tunnel. So that's what this setup is. I just did a repeat. You can always duplicate your commands to make it a little easier for you if you don't want to go through back and search for everything. You could hit duplicate. If you already had the tell mole to glide part and the wait, you could just duplicate again to tell him to glide somewhere else. And you can do a bunch of stuff here, put whatever you want, and then it'll just make it concise into one block when you're working in the director, and it'll just be easier. So this one already has the setup and the tell mole. So it'll start in here, give him a second, glide him across, glide him up. And next I'm gonna want my scene to change, and there's a bunch of things that I want to happen along with this scene change. So my scene 2, some of the things I want are, I want my background to change, obviously, for my scene change. I want my first character, my mole, to hide and not be seen. And I want my second character, my mole head, to show. So that's what I have in my second scene. Back again to controls, we're using the tell command. I told my mole to hide. I told my stage to switch to costume 2, which is the, that's the command we got from the stage. So once again, you could drag it, from here, or if you had it still set up on your director script, you could just duplicate it and drag it in, or however. Just wanted to make sure you remember how to get to it. And then you want to tell your next character to show. Like I said, this is pretty much this is going to give you creative freedom, because what you have in your scenes is not going to be the exact same as what I have, but it's just giving you some options and giving you like baseline. So all those things happened when I clicked my scene 2. And now when I snap them together, it's going to play the whole story pretty much. Start, glide across, glide up, scene change, pops up into the world. Some things you can do that you might want to add into your animation. You can play a sound in the document. For this module, it plays a pop sound, so you would hear a pop when the mole comes out of his home. Also, some other things. You can have your character say stuff. So when he pops out, you could have him, we could get the director to tell our molehead to say hello. Hello, world. Oh, okay. The space just adds something. Hello, world. There's our procedure. Needs to the top. Pop. Hello, world. You can combine that with the sound, a pop sound. You can record yourself saying things and narrating the story. If you have text that goes along, you could put the text, sorry for the noise, but if you had text, you could add the text into the text bubble that it said, or you can do a voiceover and record it yourself and go through. Definitely up to you, whatever you think goes best with your scenes, your characters. Lots of creativity here. But I hope this was helpful so you guys can see where everything is and get a good feel for how to make your stories animated. Thanks.